So you're recording also.
Oh, I can get permission to record this as well. So
Okay.
it's ask the host to give me permission to record.
You have permission. I mean, how does that fucking work? How's it going, Dave?
Hey Mel, what's up?
It's been we just celebrated Independence Day this past weekend.
Yes.
And did you have a nice, happy 4th weekend?
Had a great 4th weekend. Really fun.
Let me guess. You went riding.
Yes. 2 days in a row, which is great. So
nice.
Fun. Both days went up to a place out in West Georgia called Highland Park. And just did a lot of just practice. The first day was a little tough. I've been having a lot of elbow pain, and it was hurting kind of bad that day. So didn't really do much on like the motocross track, but did a couple laps kind of in the cross country area. Just worked on skills, did some slow speed drill stuff. And then what's really fun is the next day I was feeling good and I was able to like really rip it up on the this one motocross track, and just kept working these skills and stuff, which was fun. Had a great time.
Good. That's awesome.
Yep. Oh, and then let's see. Wow, wait, a lot of stuff. Then yesterday we went to hung out all day, just chilled, which was great. But Saturday night we got back, Sunday night we got back to Michelle's house and went and they had fireworks in the neighborhood, and it was like great because they had that one neighbor. I mean, I think we all have that neighbor, and
right.
Probably you guys, but it was me when I lived in China. That was me. It's like I bought the big stuff, but this one neighbor had bought some amazing things and put on a great show, and just had a good old time just hanging out with their family and everything. It was a good time.
That's cool. I slept through most of it. I'm just one of those weirdos. Like, I can't remember the last New Year's Eve that I actually stayed up till midnight. I'm like, fuck it. It's 10 o'clock. I'm out. Just don't care. No, I mean, Independence Day is a big thing. Went over to mom's house, had a nice lunch with her on the lake. And, so that was lovely. But then I just chilled the rest of the time because I'm exhausted. But I will tell you a funny story. So I don't know if you are aware, but my front porch is an animal portal. Some people call it the pet portal, but it's not always pets. But ever since we moved into this house 22 years ago, animals like to come up the 5 steps and get onto my porch. And I can't tell you why. But like the first month that we were in this house, I was inside by the window. I'm just watching TV or something. And a pit bull and his best friend, the trusty goat, came up the steps to my front door. A pit bull and a goat.
So literal goat, not okay.
Like a real fucking goat. And and then over the decades, I mean, deer come right up. So I mean, they'll be 10 feet in front of me and eat the deer corn that I put out. They're not afeared. And we have squirrels and chipmunks on my front porch all the time. We've been dive bombed by hawks and cardinals. Had an owl perch up there, big owl. I was sitting having wine with a friend of mine, and a ferret came up the steps and leaped into my lap.
A ferret?
A ferret.
Is that a indigenous species of Georgia, or is that
it got loose from
someone's pet?
From like way the hell back behind us. I mean,
it was someone's pet.
Yeah, that one was. And then we've had several dogs. Most of them pit bulls. They've all been friendly. So this weekend was no different. So it starts, I've got my beverage. I'm ready to sit down and have a drink on this nice hot summer day. and I sit down in my rocking chair. You know, we're in the South. You got to have a front porch. You got to have rocking chairs and a swing.
Mhm.
I'm sitting down in my rocking chair, and there's a little cushion behind me. And as I sit back, I feel something moist on the top of my right buttock. And
So where's the story going?
relax, relax.
I don't know.
So, you know, I had just taken a sip, and I figured, well, maybe it was condensation, and got my hinder all moist. And
You're still not making this any better, Mel.
and so then I felt something squirm, and a little frog popped out onto my table. So apparently I had sat down on a cute little green frog, and he peed on me. Oh, but wait. Right.
There's more.
Right after that happened, a fox runs through my front yard and chases my neighbor's cat. So I get up to chase the fox so he doesn't eat my neighbor's cat. So I chase the fox who's chasing cat. Fox runs into the woods across the way. That's over. Come back, sit down. Now, finally going to get my drink, right? Start to get a drink. And then all of a sudden, here comes this huge, beautiful female black Doberman Pinscher. Comes up by steps, nice as she can be, thank God. And but my cat was out on the front porch with me, so I'm trying to keep the dog from coming up the steps while still trying to reach the door to put my cat inside so that she doesn't become doggy treat. And it's impossible because it's like 10 feet away. I manage it somehow. Get the cat inside, dog comes up, like I said, super nice. She's hassling, she has no collar, nothing. And I'm like, oh my God. So I go in and get her a bowl of water, bring it out, set it down. She drinks it up. Here comes Kurt. I'm like, where you been, man? And so he's like, whose dog is this? I'm like, I don't know. So we're like on Facebook trying to find out who the owner is. And then what happened after that? Oh yeah. So then dog leaves, but 1 minute later is back with somebody's fried chicken and eats it bones and all. Leaves again, comes back with more fried chicken, eats it bones and all. And I'm not about to snatch it out of its mouth. You know what I'm saying? So then it starts to leave again. So I run through the house to the backside, because out onto the back porch, because I want to see where it's going. It gets behind my neighbor's house. Here's female fox, starts chasing her. They run through my yard, across the street, comes back, lays down on my porch next to me. And an hour from beginning to end has now gone by. And finally, somebody's driving down the road real slow, looking out the window. And I'm like, hey. And so he stops, and I'm like, you looking for a dog? He says, yeah. And then she runs down and jumps in the vehicle. No, thank you. Nothing like that. I'm just like, hey, get a collar for your dog, fucking hell. So finally I got to have my drink.
It sounds like he has some fried chicken.
I didn't. The dog ate it all. So he didn't.
But he's bringing it as a gift
or nothing.
What?
He didn't share with me or nothing. He just swallowed it whole. Or she.
Bastard.
I didn't know. So that was my weekend.
That
Oh my
sounds
gosh.
exciting, Ellie Mae.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
And all your critters.
I know. It's
Anyway.
kind of funny. It's kind of funny. Well, I'm really excited about tonight's guest. How about you?
Oh yeah. This is awesome.
Yeah. So this is an old friend of mine. His name is Raul. And when he was 15, he moved here to the States from Venezuela. And this is really just an amazing American dream type of story. It's the true American story, because he was born and, as I said, spent up until he was 15 years old in Venezuela, and his parents defected to the U.S. I'm sure we'll hear all about that. And so he came here not knowing the country, not knowing the language. And I mean, at 15, I mean, that's got to be really, I would struggle with that. And I know what it feels like, because at 14, we moved to Vidalia from outskirts of Atlanta, and that was culture shock. So I can only imagine So,
So
but
it's Vidalia. It's not Vidalia.
well, down there they call it Vidalia.
Oh,
See, in
okay.
Vidalia, if you hear a noise, that's just your air conditioner because it's old. It's a dinosaur. I'm not kidding. Anyway, back to Raul. So
okay.
he's one of those that if he sees opportunity, he is going to take it. And this is the land of opportunities.
Yes.
And therefore, he did not waste it. In fact, he calls himself a serial entrepreneur. And I have never.
So
seen
he's not the inventor of Cheerios or anything. That's a serial entrepreneur too, right?
Different spelling.
Okay.
We'll go over that. We'll go over that.
Okay.
Later.
Good.
Just to clarify. But now he's a grown man, married, got a baby, and his career is that he specializes in functional nutrition. What is that, you might ask? Well, allow me to answer. Basically, he works with alternative medical doctors from all over the country, and he's studied genetics and hormonal health and orthomolecular nutrition, functional medicine, and basically they strategize to use your own genetics to your advantage. So he's been doing this for about 14 years. And I mean, he's just really mastered effective and safe approaches for making people healthier by altering their body composition, as well as, maintaining still a high energy lifestyle, which I mean, that's what we all need. So, and it's a funny story how I met him, and I'm sure we'll get into it. But without further ado, let me just say that this is a man who truly inculcates from a lion's heart and not from a petri dish. So I think we're really going to enjoy talking with Raul. So again, without any further ado, please welcome my dear friend, Raul. Welcome, Raul.
Hey, thank you guys. Good to see y'all.
Good to see you too. How have you been?
Good. Crazy though, crazy. You have a 5-month-old baby and it's just crazy.
Indeed. Well, yeah, it only gets better. Wait till it's 2.
Wait till it's 18.
Oh, that.
Wait until he starts talking. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh my God.
Wait till they buy their own insurance.
Oh,
that
then
was
you can't sleep.
That was it was one milestone to get my daughter to graduate from college. The next one was the true milestone for me, of course, was when she called to say, hey, my company has these insurance plans and I'm trying to figure out which one I should get. And I'm just like, I had to like set the phone down for just a moment and just go, thank you. I mean, I'm like, now I'm really done. She's off my insurance.
Done. Yeah, that's so funny.
My son's insurance policy is still us because he's our editor and producers. I'm screwed.
Gotta pay him somehow.
Exactly. Well, before we get into anything, what are you drinking tonight, Raul?
I am drinking
and welcome to the bar.
Blanton's. Very hard to get bottle, and I actually got lucky. I found this bottle in a jewelry store while I was in St. Thomas.
Because you cannot get
this particular. Yes.
Wow.
Jewelry
you cannot
store.
get this bottle in the United States, and they happen to have it at the jewelry store because whoever spent a certain amount of money, they were going to give it to them. And I was like, no, I don't care about jewelry. I want that bottle. And so anyways, I went back and forth with the guy and ended up buying the bottle.
That's fantastic.
So I'm going to enjoy my Blanton's.
Is it a Kentucky bourbon? What is it?
So it's a single barrel Kentucky and 130 proof. Okay, so it's basically like nitromethane, basically.
Wow.
And this
can you put that in your car?
Probably. This may be better than my nitrous though.
Right. Please tell me. Please tell me.
So that's what I'll be drinking tonight. What?
Please tell me you did not put nitrous on the.
I put nitrous
on the Aston.
in the Aston Martin. I sure did.
You are such,
it works really good too.
A badass.
That is awesome.
Oh Oh my God. He has
Yeah.
the most beautiful Aston Martin I've ever seen. You know, I'm a huge DB9
Mhm.
fan, and yours
Thank
is
you.
yours is the DB11. What is it?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
Which one is
Yeah, I
yours?
had to. I thought it was fast, but not fast enough, I guess, for the group that I hang out with. And I was like, man, I gotta do something about this. So I
Mm-mm.
showed up one day with nitrous, and everybody was like, all right, we got it. I'm still not the fastest guy as of for the next probably 2-3 months. I'm not the fastest guy. What are you guys drinking?
I am having a Rayburn Russian River Valley Chardonnay. If I'm going to have a Chardonnay, it's going to be Russian River Valley. And
Which, for as long as I've known you, you've always done white wines.
and it's not that I prefer them, it's that the reds have the histamines, so I have to take an antihistamine.
Let me check.
Right. No, I have to take an antihistamine so that I don't get a migraine from it. So
Wow.
I like reds, but they don't like me. So I go
And
with
then
a
you
nice
gotta
bold
take
Chardonnay.
something for the headache after.
Exactly. So I do prefer a nice bold, buttery, toasty Russian River Valley Chardonnay.
Mm.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
What
are you
about
having?
you, dude?
I'm just doing something really simple to fit in a little bit better with my diet. Just Tito's, Pellegrino,
Okay.
and maybe some lime.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Gotta add
So,
some color to it.
yes, yes.
Well, you
I like it.
did you see that Ocean Spray diet cranberry that's only got 1 gram of sugar or whatever? Because that's pretty good in a Tito's with club soda.
So technically speaking, if you're trying to keep your sugar under like 30 grams a day, you could drink 30 of those a day.
Really? 30?
Yes, right. Well, because it's only 1 gram of sugar, right?
If we're going by the sugar, yes.
Right. That's right.
I thought vodka. I thought all alcohol like metabolized more into. I don't know.
Don't bust my bubble. That was my excuse to drinking 30 a day.
Oh, okay.
Come on, Dave, get with the program.
Oh, but hey, look at my
Jeez.
glass. This
Oh, yes.
this was my birthday gift from Mel.
Hey,
Look at
guys.
see it?
Oh yeah. Let's
Is the
cheer.
give it the go? You see the
Cheers.
logo?
Yep.
Cheers.
And then the bar
Love
on
it.
the back. That's
See?
good.
Did you
So there
see?
you
I
go.
love it.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
I can
So-
drink with Mel every night now.
See?
Mhm.
Oh my God. That's what
So funny
besties
thing
do.
since we're drinking. Funny
I
thing.
like
So
this intro.
I went to get a haircut today. And all right, so listen, because this doesn't happen every day, right? I went to get a haircut today, and I sit in the barber's chair, who I've been seeing for 2.5 or so years now. And I look, and he's always had bottles that people will bring him or whatever. And I see this one bottle, and I'm like looking at it, and it doesn't say rum, it doesn't say whiskey, it doesn't say anything. It looks like it would be a rum or whiskey. So I'm like, dude, what is that? Keep in mind, my appointment was at 9:00 this morning. Okay. Dude, what is that? He said, oh, dude, my buddy just brought me this rum. You can only buy it in the DR and Dominican Republic. It's freaking phenomenal. He said, you want to try it? And I'm like, it's 9:00, dude. He's like, dude, just a sip, like, just drink it straight. I'm like, I'm sure it's 5:00 somewhere on the other side of the world. So I'm like, sure. So I said, just a little bit. I just want to like wet my lips with it, basically, right? This dude gets a little foam cup, like the big ones that you put coffee in, and he had to pour at least a half an ounce shot in there. So here I am at 9:00 in the morning, just like drinking straight rum. And it was delicious, by the way. And I thank him for letting me try such a special bottle. But I was like, man, like it's pretty early for straight liquor.
So Raul, let me ask you, with this rum, was it dark in color or was it clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
Oh,
looked
wow.
just like that.
So I and I have to tell you, last year's was not good, and it was probably from the hurricane from a couple of years back. But I love the Bacardi Ocho Años.
Yes, I've had it.
It's
Yes,
so good. It tastes
Yeah.
more like a whiskey than it does a rum. And it is
100%.
so damn good. But last
In
year,
a way,
it
they're
wasn't.
kind of interchangeable, though, in a funky way. Some of them
Yeah.
are,
Mhm.
So yeah, all I drink is rum and whiskey or bourbon, depending.
Mhm.
Same, that and the Chardonnay. but
Yeah.
in the same. So we
Love
brought
it.
you here to pick your brain and hear your amazing story.
Do. Oh,
Yeah. So
right.
so tell us, I mean, starting from the beginning. So you moved here from Venezuela because
Mhm.
you had to.
I had to. Yeah, I had no choice. I was 15 years old. This was back in 2003, and I was in school, and mom basically picks me up from school halfway through the day, mid morning basically, and she's like, I was like, is everything okay? She's like, no. She said, we need to go unpack everything from the condo, move everything to the beach house, and then put everything into the United States in 2 weeks. And I was like, whoa. I'm like, why basically? And I had an idea. This is 2003 in Venezuela. Things had started to go south after Chavez came in on 98. He got reelected in 2003 and reelected. And then it just got more and more dangerous. Mom was in she worked for the only petroleum company in Venezuela. It's called PDVSA, and she did all of the real estate for the northeast of the country for that particular company. Really good, really high end position, and she was at some point she had the opportunity to be on TV, and she was pretty much talking shit about the president, just like saying stuff that she knew, facts, things that she had insight on, and that did not go well. So basically, at some point, she was in one of the refineries, and they basically were threatening to explode the whole refinery. So they had to bring mom and a few other people down, like I don't even know how many feet below, into this like bunker room type deal for a few hours.
They were going to explode it because of what your mom said, or was that just
Well, because of the people that happened to be there that they knew that were there, they were threatening to explode it. And so mom basically was like, yep, I'm done with this. And they walked up to her office, or really to her entire department. I want to say it was a couple of days or a day before. So when they told her, hey, if you're not with Chavez, you're fired. We're pretty much taking over. And she was like, I guess I'm fired. And I want to say half the department probably left,
Wow.
and people
Good
left
on
the
them.
country,
That's some bravery.
So yeah, I'm so glad, because in 2003, Venezuela still was beautiful. Now is honestly, it's non-habitable.
Wow.
So
Horrible.
well
And I mean,
done.
that's exactly what happens when you get a communist regime takeover. They come to the businesses and they basically give the leadership the ability to either, I guess, stay and prosper and be loyal to them, or you got to go. And I mean, that's, I guess, the decision that was put in front of you. And if you stay there and you're disloyal, then you could easily find yourself on the wrong end of the wrong side of the wall.
Oh yeah. So my mom said, let's give it a go.
Wow.
I like what you did there.
So you like it? You like clever, huh?
GTFO.
Sometimes.
You're hired.
But so I came here knowing no English. It was rough.
Wait. Back up. I mean, so she told you, and then you guys had to leave. Like how quickly after?
I didn't really have time.
Yeah.
Wait, what's that?
Oh, you said you guys had to move everything over like to a beach house, and then
we had an apartment in the city, and we had to basically move everything from that condo to the beach house. And then at the beach house, we had gotten a container that we could put all of the furniture and belongings from both of the places, basically, so we could ship them to the United States whenever we would get our house here.
Wow.
And so basically I came with 3 bags, not bags, but like luggage, and then we had to end up buying some more stuff. And then our container arrived, I want to say it was like 2 months later or so.
Sure, yeah.
Well, it takes a long time for it to float across the Gulf of Mexico.
Yes. And I think that they prioritized the petroleum barrels that were going out to Cuba over containers.
Wow.
I bet they were. Yeah. So did you get to say goodbye to your friends? I mean, that would be painful, I would think. That's everybody you grew up with.
It's so rough. It's so rough because so I went to a private school, and we had probably 20 something people in our class. And in Venezuela, I'm not sure how the private schools work here, but in Venezuela, you are in, say, pre-K or whatever,
Mhm.
and you have the 20 something kids. Well, all of you guys take every single class and everything together all the way until you graduate
Mhm.
from high school. So I was
That really limits your
going into,
dating options.
oh yeah, like you either lock out or you're shit out of luck. Yeah, I started looking at other school systems. It's like, mom, can we just move like farther away? But anyways, yeah. So I was a sophomore, you know, and I was 2 years away from graduating with everyone, which is obviously the one thing that you want to do. And so that didn't happen. So that was rough. What makes me feel okay is that probably about a year later, a lot of my friends, probably half of them, were leaving the country as well. So
Mm.
it's not like I was gonna end up graduating with everybody, but it was rough. I literally went back, I think, on a weekend, and I met with some of my close friends at their house to say bye. And it was really cool because they had gotten together. I have to pull that shirt. I have no idea where it is. We all had gotten together, and we had to wear a uniform, and everybody had signed the shirt and put messages and stuff, and that was kind of cool. I still have that shirt, by the way.
Oh, cool.
So so it
Aw.
was rough, though. It was rough. Yeah, it was rough. And I still remember, like, in the airplane, literally just right as soon as the airplane like took off, like I looked back and I was like, oh man, like my country, my
Ugh.
culture, my grounds, my everything is here, you know.
Wow.
So, but we had come to the United States in 2001. We came to visit for 3 weeks.
Mhm.
Basically, we went to every single Disney and Universal park every single day, and we loved it. And we loved it. So I knew what I was going into, you know. It's just that I know I was gonna miss all the, you know, my culture and everything.
Mhm.
However, I feel like I'm more American than Venezuelan. I've been here longer too.
Well, that's true.
cool.
That is
Yeah,
true
yeah.
now. So
Yeah, now.
what was it like coming here and getting to our schools, and you didn't even know English yet,
okay.
right?
You landed, and then now you said you had some family here that you were able to. Did you stay with them
Yeah,
at first,
yeah,
and then?
yeah. So basically, we had come straight to Georgia as opposed to
Sure.
Miami, like every good Venezuelan does, and to
And New York.
to Acworth, Georgia, like bumfuck in the middle of nowhere, like not in the city, in a freaking country, right? And which I love it now, but then it was quite the shock too. So, anyways, yeah, my my dad's brother was living in Ackworth, and he said, "Hey guys, for the first few weeks, you know, month, whatever, I have a basement. Y'all can stay here. Y'all can use
Mhm.
our kitchen, everything, until you get jobs and basically find a house that you can rent or
Mhm.
apartments or whatever." And that's exactly what we did. We were there for 3 or 4 weeks, and then we ended up renting an apartment also in Ackworth for about a year. And then after that month, found a house that we could rent, which was down the road from where you are, Melina.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
and
I
think a
didn't know
few
we
years later-
had. I didn't know we had apartments in Ackworth back then.
Yeah, it's by the library. Cowan Road and by the Waffle House.
That. Hey, by the Waffle House describes a lot of places in the state.
By the
There's a lot of
Waffle
answers
House
to that.
and the Mexican restaurant right over
Yeah,
there.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you cannot use Waffle House as a reference point in Georgia. If you're in high school here in the United States and you take Spanish 1 and 2, that is the equivalent of what I spoke. I mean, not shit,
Mhm.
dude. Like you can ask like, "Where's the bathroom?" and you know how to count to whatever and
Mhm.
colors,
Donde-
basically, you know.
Donde
Está el
es
baño.
baña?
Yeah, el baño, yeah.
You guys landed. You settled in just briefly in the basement. How soon before you went to the
Before I was
high
in school?
Yeah, the high school. Yeah.
1 week.
Wow.
I had no time to do anything. The first week was more like kind of seeing some just being a tourist,
Yeah,
basically, and then getting everything, all the paperwork and everything done with the schools. But like I went to CNN, World of Coke, the aquarium, like typical tourist shit.
Sure,
I
sure.
haven't even done
And
any of that, and I've lived here my entire life. Never done any of it.
You listen, you have to be a tourist in your own city though. You have to. You have
I
to.
guess.
So at least back in the days, Atlanta is a little scary right now anyways, but
yeah.
so yeah, I mean, I spoke nothing basically, and this is kind of funny. I get in on day one, I'm in algebra. I think they have put me on algebra 2. In Venezuela as a sophomore, you've already gone through all algebra. You're basically calculus and such, right? So I'm sitting in class. I have no idea what the teacher's saying. All I see is x over blah 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 and all these equations, right? And then I get a piece of paper and it says test, and I'm like, shit, I know what test means. So I fill everything out and I turn it in. And I think it was the next day when we get our results. I was, without speaking any English, I was the only guy that got a 100. And then everybody, the other score was like a 92, and then it went downwards from there. And everybody's looking at me
Some
like,
got a
because the teacher obviously made a big
76.
deal of it.
And some got a
Right, right, right.
17.
Right. Exactly. So, the teacher obviously made somewhat of a big deal of the fact that, wow, like all of you guys basically suck. The guy that speaks no English that just came in the country just got 100. So I talked to my counselor and I was like, hey, this is like really easy for me. So they put me in algebra 3. I was there for, I think, a week or 2. And I talked to my counselor. I was like, hey, I can take any test you want to. Like, that's like child games for me, basically. Right. Like, we need something, So anyways, I just kept advancing and I ended up being basically a sophomore, although I lost a semester because some credits would just not transfer over, and so like I had taken Italian in Venezuela. I went to an Italian school. So I had taken Italian, those credits didn't transfer over. So I had to pick another language to learn. And I didn't feel like doing that because English as it is was rough. So I picked freaking Spanish, and I was
going to say, Spanish. Yes.
I was like, I know I'm going to get good. It's going to help my GPA, I'm trying to have a good GPA. I'm trying to go to freaking school,
I have to say,
so yeah, it was rough.
And you're a good Spanish teacher. He and I were hanging out. This was like, what was it, like 10 years ago or something? We were hanging out on my back porch, and I asked him to teach me how to say, I just threw up a little in my mouth. What was it? Regurgitate un poco in mi boca.
I just remember, oh my God. It's been a long time though, I'll tell you. So that was so funny. Good times though. Cheers to that. So yeah, I was I was forced to learn fast, and I picked it up super fast. I think it was in the first 3 months. After the first 3 months, I could hold, with a heavy accent, but I could hold a conversation with you in English. And my thing was, look, 2 things. One, I'm coming to this country. I'm going to be living in this country. Like, I want to soak in the culture. I want to be part of the culture. I want to be as American as I can possibly be, because I'm going to be in this country, So I basically, in order for me to learn the language as quick as possible, I knew I could not speak Spanish or with people. So I was hanging out with everybody and their mama, as far as they didn't speak Spanish. If you were Russian, if you were whatever, American, etc., I would hang out with you because you didn't speak Spanish, right? And so I was forced to learn, and I'm a very talkative guy, so it was really annoying at first. I couldn't talk to people. So I'll be like, and you didn't have your iPhone with Google or, hey, translate this, Siri, like you didn't have any of that. So yeah,
wow.
rough.
Well, I hear that's the best way to learn, is to be thrown into the language. I mean, Dave, how did you do it? You were in China for like 5 years, weren't you?
Yeah. No.
Do you speak Mandarin?
Yeah, a little.
What?
I mean, it was one of these things where the opportunity popped up just instantly. And I came home from a trip to China, and I asked, told my family, I was like, hey guys, what do you think about living in China for the next couple of years? And they're like, sure, why not? And so we,
casual.
so we hopped on a plane, and, 4 weeks later hopped on a plane. And so zero Chinese. And that's a country where the like even names of hotels are the Chinese names. So you can't really use any words at all. You have to get little cards that have the names of places in the characters so that you can present it to someone to be able to get around. And so your mobility is completely limited. You just can't get around at all. And so when we got there, I was continually using these cards to have cab drivers and, take us different places. And finally one day, and I was taking Chinese lessons, but it just wasn't really progressing. But I knew enough Chinese to start to, be able to say something's too expensive. I could haggle. I could, just transactional stuff. It's
That's
like
a business guy in you.
Yeah. I could say this one, that one. I could point at things, and that was about it.
Whenever you hear a price, just be like, no.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And so anyway, it was funny because at the time I was working with Apple, and I was working with a school there that was going to be this big, they were doing everything total Apple, everything. And so I was helping the school, and I was walking out one afternoon, and there was a student waiting for his driver. And I said, hey, let me ask you a question. Because it's like, I know how to get home. How can I tell a cab driver that I'll tell them how to do it? Like, it's like rather, because they'd always get confused with the name of my place. I would always say, Mingdu Yuan, which, they would always say, oh, Mingdu Yuan. And I'm like, yeah, Mingdu Yuan. And they would think it was this, cultural heritage park. And they would always get confused. And even though I'd pronounce it correctly, and then I'd show them the card, and I'd say Mingdu Yuan, and I'd hand him the card, and he'd go, oh, Mingdu Yuan. I'm like, what did I say? Different, So anyway, and by the way, that community was capital paradise. It was wonderful. Anyway, so I was, so I was like, I'm sick of not having control. And it was really interesting. By living overseas, you learn really a lot about yourself and kind of how you do things. I'm like, man, I'm a control freak. I like to have control. I like to have mobility.
Strengths and weaknesses. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I asked this kid, how do I tell the cab driver? I'll tell him how to get there, because I had learned how to say left, right, straight, stop, and I'm like, with just those 4 words, I can get anywhere I want. So, he taught me this term. He goes, "Wo gao si ni zema zo." So it's like, I'll show you how to do it, is kind of what you say. So wo, I, gao, show, ni, you, zenma, how to, zo, go. So it's like, wo gao si ni zenma zo. And so I got in the taxi, and he asked where I was going, and I'm like, Mingdu Yan. And he's like looking at me confused, and I just go, wo gao si ni zenma zo. And he's like, dui. And I'm like, okay, ichizo,
I love it.
Zogwai, Yogwai, it's like ting, and so it was a lot of fun. And then did that for a while, and then we're like, we got to get our own car. And so that's a whole story in and of itself about how what it took to get a car. But with tariffs there being so high, like Jeep Grand Cherokee I wanted to buy, it was like $65,000. And I'm like, no. So I ended up buying a local Chinese car for $6,000, backpack full of cash down at a used car lot. The guy was stuffing bills into his jacket, and he just filling it up. And I mean, these car dealers, I swear to God, they're all cut from the same cloth, man. They're all sitting in there just like smoking, playing cards. And I mean, it was hilarious. And anyway,
I'm still waiting for Melina to ask you, how do you say I just threw up in my mouth in Mandarin?
Yes. How do you say I just threw up a little in my mouth?
I have no idea how to say that. If one of my friends is watching,
we need to Google that shit.
Please let me know. But I will say that getting mobility was a huge thing. And when we finally got our driver's license, which I mean, there's a story behind all this stuff, of course. But once we got our driver's licenses and we bought the car, and we're finally able to just go hauling ass around town and driving like the locals do, which was to me fun, to others terrifying. So
sure.
Oh my God. Hey, I learned how to speak South Georgian, as I showed you earlier before Raul came on, and that's hard too. So
and bilingual. I love it.
I can speak Georgian and South Georgian.
I'm
bilingual.
License.
What'd you say, Raul?
I said I have a story about driver's license though. So
Yeah.
Oh, let's hear it.
when I came here, I was 15. Okay, so under the circumstances, which I wish we did, but hey, things happen for a reason. They made me who I am. Under the circumstances, that's why we came to the country. What we should have done is apply for political asylum,
Right.
basically.
Mm.
And however, the thing is, if the country gets good, then your ass has to go back to your country. Like the country's fixed.
Wow.
You're not staying. So mom was like, I don't think so, but let's just not go that route. We came as a tourist, knowing that we were gonna stay because on my dad's side, everybody's American, basically, grandma, dad, etc. So I said, we were like, hey, we can definitely get, our papers and stuff very soon, within 3 months or so before our visa expires. Nope. Then we did a visa extension, and we had a visa for 1 year, basically. But you still couldn't get my dad could get a driver's license, but that's about it, right? So then after the year goes by, now I'm 16, I can't get a driver's license. My visa expired. I'm technically speaking illegal at this point, right?
Wow.
So I don't have a social, I don't have anything. I'm in high school. I'm driving to high school like everybody else with no license. Okay, we had insurance, we had all that stuff, but I had no choice, dude, So I was just very careful, as a 15 and 16-year-old can be, I guess. And then somebody told my mom, hey, if we had a tax ID then. So somebody told my mom, hey, if you, in the state of North Carolina, they are giving driver's licenses if you have a tax ID number and you have an expired passport. Like, it's okay as far as you have some type of passport or US ID, right? And someone was like, shit. So she started asking, and then keep in mind, the lady that had a house in North Carolina, which we're very blessed to know her, she's the lady that my mom was cleaning houses for. So let's backtrack. Mom has a very high, one of the highest executive.
Right. And
I was
now
going to say,
cleaning
you went from,
houses.
wow.
That's
and
humble.
A month later, And a month later, she is weighing tables and she's cleaning houses, right?
Unreal.
Because we had to make meats, and and my dad went from being I guess in medical sales to doing like all types of stuff like construction and all, whatever he could basically get without having to need papers, right?
Wow.
So anyways, I was in high school. I had a full-time job. Towards the end, I had a full-time and a part-time job because I wanted things and I just needed the money for it. And I like a car and I like to race. So I wanted to modify my car too and whatever, And so anyways, I did that, but no license. And then I had the North Carolina license. So whenever I would get pulled over, they would be like, hey, what are you doing here? You have a Georgia tag with a North Carolina license. Oh, I just moved down.
That doesn't look fishy at all.
No, not at all. It's okay, cool. Well, here's a warning. You had 30 days to show up to court with your Georgia driver's license, and then it's not going to be a ticket. Well, that couldn't happen. So I would just pay the freaking tickets, right? And or I would go to court with a lawyer and say, hey, no, we're actually going back. I mean, I can get it if you want to, but I'm literally moving back next week. Like, there's no point in me getting the Georgia driver's license. And I would just go back out with my North Carolina driver's license, right? And I did that for about like 2 or so years, 3 years. And then I was able to get a Georgia license. Okay. Well, I get my Georgia license and then I'm fine at that point. And my ass decides to get a motorcycle. So I get a motorcycle. And then I'm like, oh shit, I can't get the Georgia license anymore. So I'm like, I guess I want to do a motorcycle license, right? So I'm riding my motorcycle with my friends with a car license. And I did that for about 6, 7, 8, 9 months. I don't know. And
such a rebel.
We were in Canada. I wanted to live the life that all my friends were living, right? And to all its fairness. And I don't like being like held back, limited. It's just not my thing. So anyways, I was cruising with my friends and I rolled literally second gear, 10 miles per hour. I had probably 5, 6 bikers behind me. I literally barely rolled through a stop sign after I looked and nobody was coming. Sure enough, there's a cop whoop, way out there.
Oh.
And group of bikes is like, I'm gonna get him. So I get pulled over. The guy said, hey dude, I pulled you over because of stop sign, blah, blah, blah. I just want to do a quick check and you'll be fine. I'm like, cool. He's like, driver's license and insurance. And I'm like, here's my driver's license and here's my insurance. And he's like, this is a car license. Do you have a motorcycle license? And I said, nope. He's like, all right, give me 1 second. I'll be back. Walks by to his car. You see a second cop car pull up.
Oh,
like, I'm getting arrested.
That
I'm
means you're toast.
That because yep. And so sure enough, the guy said, hey man, sorry, this is basically like driving without a license. So you need to come with us. And I was like, so at that point, my friend had told mom, hey, he just got arrested. He's probably gonna call you in a few to tell you how much what bail's gonna be and whatever. So I was in the cop car for not even half a mile. It was behind the Quick Trip in Kennesaw, and then you have the Kennesaw Police Department right across the street, basically. So, anyways, so I get pulled over, whatever, and while I'm in the back of the car, which have you ever been in the back of a police car? Any of you guys? No, it's very tight because you have the seat and then you have this metal thing, right? I have freaking
Bad
motorcycle
boys.
boots. Yeah, I have motorcycle boots. So it's like impossible. They just don't fit. So I had to literally like go like this. Luckily, it was just like a half a mile drive. But anyways, so I get my call and I call mom and I'm like, I'm trying to figure out how to tell mom, right? So I call her and I'm like, hey mom, she's like, how much is it? I'm at the bank waiting. And I was like, oh shit, this is not gonna be it. So I told her it's like 1,073. I think that's what it was. She's like, all right, I'll be there shortly. And I'm like, oh boy. So literally she bails me out. I go to court, whatever. And she's like, you need to sell that bike because obviously you can't get a license. And my bike was bright orange with carbon fiber fairings at the bottom. Like you could see that thing. Basically was like that until 2011, 2010. So you're talking about, I went 7 years with struggling to stay legal driving. And then also which takes a lot of freaking lawyer to go to court with you because you got pulled over because your tail lights out, and then you have to go to court, lawyer, blah, 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 all this stuff to kind of get away with it. Same thing with jobs. I would apply at a job and sometimes it would be 3 days and they're like, hey dude, your social, I would just give them my tax ID because I didn't have a social. Your social is not, it says that it's not valid or something. I say, oh, that's weird. And so they would be like, hey, you can't come back until we can prove that you have a good social security number. I'm like, oh man, yeah, I gotta talk to my lawyer. Something must have happened, whatever, right? And I did that. And sometimes I would be in a job for 3 days and sometimes it would be a year. That was my longest lasting job because I would literally be asked and then I couldn't, there was no way. I didn't have a social then. I was paying taxes, but a tax ID, I was doing everything legal. I just did not have a social security number.
Wow.
Until about 2010, 2011. And so that's one of the things that kind of sparked my entrepreneurship earlier than what it probably would have been. Because when you work for yourself, you don't need papers, you don't need anything. So I was trying to start all types of businesses. I was then in college. Was that?
I was gonna say, what was your first one?
My first job or business?
Well, your first business that you started, because I mean that's kind of a big deal. Like you were like,
right.
Oh man, I'm gonna hang it out there, right?
Yeah. So my first business wasn't actually a business. It was a multi-level marketing company. Because my cousin back then, he was with I want to say Herbalife or something. The dude was making like 50 grand a month. Like he was like way up, and he's been in it for a gazillion years. Basically, he got in when it was a good time. So he said, dude, you can make money too, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, do I need a social security number? He said, do you have a tax ID? I'm like, yeah. He said, that works. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. So I started doing that and I did it for about 2 years almost, and that's I think that's Melina around the time that I met you, and and then I had built a team, and usually in 99% of the people that join multi-level marketing companies, they do not make money. They just spend money basically.
Right,
okay.
right.
I got to about where I was making between $2,200 and $2,500 a month, and which is not as much as I wanted.
That's pretty good.
So my checks went, and I was like, I'm not doing this again. That was a lot of energy. That was a lot of everything. I said I need to do something else, and so I invested and was part owner of an independent record label. That was around the time where we were hanging out quite a bit, Melina. And
That's what that secret shit was then.
no, that's not what that secret shit was. So, anyways,
Dark night.
Dark night. So, anyways, so that went on. That was a waste of money. I literally made no money. I ended up basically just selling my share and getting out of it. And then in 2011, I started the dealership, which we actually still have nowadays.
Oh, cool.
And that was really my first shot, my first give it a go to a real business. You know, I started my friend. Once again, man, everything I've done is like just in the most creative freaking way to like make shit happen when you don't have what you need, right? So I knew I couldn't afford to start a dealership. I didn't have any freaking money basically. So or if I did, was just enough for me to like have my Corvette and, you know, do trips with my friends and stuff that, you know, people in high school and college do. My friend had a dealership, and I told my buddy, hey dude, can I go to the auction with you? He's like, back then you could. He's like, yeah, for sure. If you want to buy a car, I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $500 for every car I buy because I'm gonna sell them. And he's like, sounds good. That's free money for him. So I said, I don't need a dealer tag. I don't need anything. Like literally just get me to the auction. I'll tell you what car I want to get, bid on it, and then you know, take it to my house basically. So it's giving me $500, and we did that for about a year and a half or so, and then we got to a point where I was like, okay, well, you know, we can buy more cars now. We have a little bit of money. Let's go ahead and get our license, get insurance, get a phone number, and all of these things, right? So I'll tell you once again, trying to be creative and, you know, make gold out of shit, basically. You know the storage unit on Jim Owens and 41 where you have all the boats,
right. Yeah, down the street from me.
So when they first started, okay, there was only probably 15 cars or so, and I told the mom, and I actually went there, and I told the lady, I said, hey, can we park cars here? You know, they're going to be selling, but I'll give you what, blah, blah, blah. And I forgot how much we negotiated for, because it was going to be, we're going to be doing like 5 to 6 parking spots. And she's like, yes. And then I said, can I ask you for another favor? She's like, yes. Could I use your phone number? And if somebody calls asking for such and such dealership, tell them, yes, this is it, because we need a physical location and we need a phone number.
Yeah, dealer license.
Like, yes.
Yeah, dealer to explain to everyone, you have a dealer's license in Georgia, you actually have to have a physical address.
Yes, and a landline. So anyway, so the lady was like, and I told her, look, I'll give you like $30 a month, like basically half of a parking spot, just in case that somebody happens to call, like governmental, you know, because it's not like
she agreed to this. She agreed.
She was cool with it. She never got a call. She made money for a few months, you know.
It's a good thing you're not unattractive, because that would have never happened.
So anyway, so we went at it for a little bit, and then we started getting more cars. At some point we had Cobb County Police come to the house because I was still living with mom, and we had 6 cars with no tags on our driveway just about at all times. And one of the neighbors complained. Cobb County came, knocked on the door. What are you guys doing? And I told him the truth. I was like, hey dude, I'm a broker. I just have this many cars. And he was like, well, you need to park them somewhere because this is not a business. This is residential. And I was like, okay. So anyways, we started renting a space from a dealer dealership in Cartersville. That was terrible, but we made miracles out of it, and then got into another place, and then we ended up in the place that we're in, where we now have over 100 cars. And it's really more so thanks to my brother and mom. I actually stepped out of the business in 2013, and I gave it to them because mom had lost her job, because by then I got my papers before mom did. So mom in 2013 still, she had no social security number. So she was lucky enough to get into this Chevrons, and then she was managing Chevron, and then shortly after she had like 17 Chevrons that she was managing, gas stations.
Wow.
And that's why she was like a district manager. Well, the guys sold the gas stations, and then the new owners were like, hey, we're going to be doing E-Verify. I need everybody to submit their stuff. And mom obviously didn't have it, so she got fired.
Oh, wow.
So anyways, I told mom, come with me. I'll teach you everything. I'll split 50-50 with you. And that happened. Then my brother had a job, and summer job. And either he got fired, it was at a pizza place. Either he got fired or they closed or something. One in Cedar Crest, on Seven Hills, basically. And so I was like, okay, great. Like, I hate the car business. Like, I'm just not a salesperson. Like, I'm like, if you like it, buy it. If not, like, go find something else. But like, I'm not gonna try to sell you something, right? And so I told my brother, hey, let me show you, and then you and mom can take over the business. Like, I just don't want to be in it. So they did, and they did a phenomenal job. 2015 comes around, and at that point, my life is a little bit more put together. I have some money in the savings. I was having dinner with Ashlyn, and we happened to log into our savings, and I don't care how much money you have to, if you have your money in a savings account, you're gonna make sense, if not $1 or $2 a month worth of interest, right? And so I told Ashlyn, I was like, hey, we gotta put this money to work. Like, this is not doing anything. And then it hit me. It's like, oh shit, like, let me ask my brother and mom if they need money to buy more vehicles, and we'll just be like a passive owner investor type deal, and we'll get a share of the company, but I don't want to be involved in it. And she was like, yeah, whatever. I mean, it's better than, making cents or dollars basically a month. And so I called mom, and I told them, hey, you can buy a few trucks with this. They were more into trucks at that point. You can buy trucks with this, and I just want like 10% of the business. And obviously, if you need me, I can do stuff, whatever, but I just don't want to be fully involved. And they agreed to it. And like I said, we started with one $4,500 car. It was a Cadillac CTS, and then I flipped it. I sold it for like $6,500, and then I bought another Cadillac CTS because I was like, Cadillac CTS make money, And so then I bought it, and that one took a little bit longer to sell. And then I ended up being able to buy two $4,000 cars, and we just pretty much kept going like that. And that's one of the businesses that we still have. Phenomenal business. We've grown tremendously, but it was, we have more diesel trucks than any dealership in the United States right now, including the big franchises like Ford, Chevy, and Dodge. We're the number one diesel dealership. Yeah, Cartersville trucks. Look them up. So if you need diesel, I got the best hookups. If you need gas, it's like I have zero connections. I'm just as good as you guys are. So anyways, that was a struggle. And that, obviously, luckily, thanks to my mom and brother busting their ass and going through hoops and loops, basically, they ended up, making it a very profitable business. And in the midst of that, obviously, different businesses that I got involved with happened. Some have stayed like High Fit, and then some have gone like manufacturing businesses and stuff like that. So it's a struggle though, because it's like we don't come from money, and I don't want to define success by any means by money, because that's not everybody's cup of tea. Like, not everybody cares about making money, so like I've never looked down on people that may not make as much, or I've never looked up to people that may make more money than I do, because to me, it's like, that's just what I'm like focused on. But some people may be more focused on traveling and just living a very low stress, because being an entrepreneur, let's be real, like, it's fucking stressful, even if you're freaking killing it, it's still stressful, because you're like, oh shit, like, how can I make more? And really, the more money you make, the more headaches you get. And
well, they say the bigger your life, the bigger your troubles. So, and I think there's a very important lesson. There's
for sure.
There's an important lesson in this as well, because you know, some people may listen to your life as like, oh, well, you know, his mom was an executive of a petroleum company. And then, but look at what she had to give up and look at what she went through for a very long time.
Girl, we had
And you as
nothing.
well. So when you come from nothing and
Mhm.
then still, you know, have nothing. Yeah. Okay. I understand that's hard. But when you came from something and went to nothing,
Mhm.
and was there for a long time in a new
Yeah.
country, new language, having to learn how we do business here, license,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Holy smokes, that's
It's
dedication.
you know,
That's
it's very
work.
humbling. It's very
Yeah.
humbling, and
And hard.
it's hard, you know. And honestly, the older I grow, the more I appreciate mom. Seriously, because at first when you're a little kid, you're like, oh shit, you know, like, yeah, she's just working, whatever.
Dave, there's hope for us yet.
Mom grew up with money. Mom had a driver, you know, when she was going to school that would pick her up, drop her off, blah, blah, blah. Grandpa had like 14 cars, all new cars. Like, so mom was used to the good life. Then she goes into this corporate world. Oh no, then my grandpa passed and left her a shit ton of debt. And then mom had to pay off that stuff. My grandpa passed a year before I was born. So now we're dealing with Raul plus paying grandpa's debt. Then she was also helping my aunt because single mom, 4 kids under 2 twins back to back. So mom had basically 5 kids at that point and paying off debt. So mom literally went from poop to like bottom. And then she hustled her way up, started a business with my dad that they would do on the weekends. And mom was like, trying to start a liquor store. So she was selling beer in like different by the beach and stuff like that. And then they worked into their business. So, and then mom worked her way up to where she was buying subdivisions at a time, basically.
Wow.
And then welcome to America.
Wow.
You know, so it's very humbling though, you know. But honestly though, it makes you appreciate things a lot more because you know, and I see people that have money and you know, I appreciate it because I know what it takes. But when I see somebody that has money that comes from nothing, I'm like, damn, like they had to bust it because I know what it feels like, you know.
Right.
And it's I mean, you just gotta hustle, man.